In the ultra-competitive world of commercial television, programs live and die by the ratings. The truth is, if you don't watch, we get the boot. Consequently, it's often said we'd kill for good ratings. Of course, here, we don't mean it. But the same doesn't seem to be the case in Brazil. There, a TV host saw his audience increased whenever he reported gruesome crime stories. So what did he do? Well, the accusation is he started arranging and ordering murders so he could film them for his show. Worse still, it worked. His program became an enormous success. This is one of the strangest stories I've ever told, but a warning, it's also one of the most violent. Not too many people visit Manaus, a city in Brazil on the banks of the mighty Amazon River. It's not the scenery that keeps the tourists away, it's the danger. As far as crime goes, this place is hell, which perversely makes it heaven for news reporters chasing stories. No one was better at finding the news than TV host Wallace Sousa. Year after year, he was the first on the scene of every major crime, and his audience couldn't get enough. Wallace lived for everything that was wrong with Manaus, and it turned him into a household name here. The people believed him, didn't they? And they loved him.
The people believe in him, the people love him, the people love Canal Livre.
His TV show, Canal Livre, was a peculiar mix of dancing girls, puppets, and brutal crime. Gruesome murders were captured minutes after they happened, and it was all fed to a captivated audience.
Nossa cidade precisam ter paz.
Like any celebrity, Wallace had his fair share of detractors, but there was one allegation he couldn't shake. In an attempt to boost his TV ratings, police believe Wallace was no longer reporting the crimes, he was ordering them. Setting up murders across the city to film and feed his growing audience. He killed people because he wanted to show it on the television show.
Yeah.
Because he wanted people to watch.
That's what the task force say.
Just like the waters that surround this city, this is a story with two distinct sides. But working out whose account to believe is the hardest task of all. Right here in the heart of the Amazon is a story so murky, so full of greed, corruption, and even murder. It takes reality TV to a whole new, despicable level. You only have to spend one night on the streets of Manaus to understand why it is the perfect setting for a crime show. Drugs are everywhere here. Violence is as common as breathing. Even with police protection, the city is terrifying. I'm on the road with the local police force on a routine drug raid through the most dangerous parts of the city. Not so long ago, it was TV reporters arriving first on the scene of a crime, not the police. This is any given night here in Manaus. Like the heat, the crime is truly suffocating. Few people know exactly what's going on, what the bigger games are. But those who do know either end up in prison or dead. Wallace Sousa was a man who knew too much. He rode his incredible popularity on TV to become a member of parliament. But as quickly as he was making fans, he was also earning enemies on the streets and in politics. The rise of Wallace Sousa came crashing down when a police informant dropped a bombshell.
The former cop, Moacir Jorge, said, "I'm private bodyguard, this Wallace Sousa."
Arrested for 9 murders while he was still on the force, former military cop Moa George told police he was merely following orders from his boss, Wallace Sousa, who he said directed him to carry out brutal executions for his TV show. The revelations staggered fellow local journalists like Anacina. Moa said that Wallace was involved in murders.
Yes.
He also said that Wallace was doing this for ratings. The host of a TV show is killing people for ratings.
Yes.
How did everyone react to that?
Most of the people don't believe in him. Most people say, "I don't believe that."
There was more evidence to come.
So much more.
When Moa's police statement was leaked to the local press, Wallace Sousa vehemently denied ever even meeting him.
That's not true, because the cops found a photo with Moa and Wallace in the pool.
Cracks were beginning to appear in Wallace's story, and so police set up a task force to look for connections between the show and the hits. How could it be that reporters arrived first on the scene of a crime every time? Sometimes when the victim was still breathing. Modesto Vanderlei was a reporter on Wallace's TV show. How did you get to the scene of crimes before everyone else?
We had assignment editors who passed information by phone. We also called police and even the Forensic Medicine Institute to ask if there's anything happening.
Even today, Modesto won't hear a bad word about his boss. Wallace was either innocent or really good at covering his tracks.
This is up to God and justice, not me.
Do you feel like you really missed something because you didn't know what was going on?
I was hired to work, not participate in a criminal gang. In a house, if the father is a bad guy, it's not his children's fault. And I was not Wallace's son. I was only an employee.
True crime reporting doesn't get any closer than the scenes filmed on Wallace's TV show. This gruesome footage shows the body of a man burnt alive, the smoke still trailing from his corpse. Seconds after arriving first on the scene, the reporter had staggering details of the crime. He knew the victim's gender, that there were no bullet wounds, and that he was set alight with gasoline. The task force believed details like this, impossible to know from just looking at the victim's burnt body, proved what they had long feared. The deaths were a setup by Wallace, all in the name of killing off enemies and bolstering TV show ratings. Police secured a warrant to search Wallace's home, which he shared with his son Raphael.
In Raphael's room, the cops found paper with names and the guns and the munitions.
Police found almost $200,000 in cash, guns, and spent bullets, which they believed were used in killings across the city. They also found pieces of paper with the names of drug dealers, some who had already been killed. It looked like a hit list. Is Wallace's son a murderer?
The task force think it is. Yes. The people think Raphael Souza is guilty.
How can the father not have known when he was living in the same house?
I don't know, for me, that's impossible.
Raphael was charged with homicide and drug trafficking and sent to prison. Wallace made his final plea of innocence to Parliament.
É só que eu peço dos senhores justiça.
But it wasn't long before Wallace, too, was behind bars, impeached and ordered to stand trial for murder, drug trafficking, and the formation of a criminal gang. Wallace wasn't doing himself any favours. There was now photographic evidence of him with the police informant and a drug kingpin, associations he'd previously strenuously denied. All of that led to the biggest court case this city had ever seen. A local judge decided that it had to go to trial. There was too much evidence against Wallace.
Yes, in 2009, the judge say, we need to prove his guilt or not.
So now everyone starts thinking, how bad is Wallace? Is he really a murderer? Is he really a drug dealer? Is he a gang leader?
Yeah,
He's surrounded by guilty people.
yeah. It's shocking. What he's doing, that's not a journalist.
Coming up, from TV star to celebrity prisoner.
I know my dad was innocent.
A new location for the show,
It's pretty unnerving in here.
but the plot's just as gruesome.
Wouldn't have upset you though when Noah was shot and burned alive? No.
That's next on 60 Minutes. It might look secure, but this is one of the most dangerous places in the Amazon. So we're waiting here?
Waiting here 1 minute para entrance this.
Okay, they're going to check it, make sure it's okay.
And then after you
Go in.
can.
Okay, thank you. Today, we've been given rare access into maximum security prison Compage, an overcrowded hellhole harboring some of the worst of humanity. These men don't get many visitors. I have to say that despite all this security, it's pretty unnerving in here. The prisoners are right there and they're the worst of the worst. Many have committed very violent murders, and plenty of those murders have happened here on the inside. And even if you are a prisoner in here, there's no safety net, even in isolation.
Eu digo, eu vou ver se eu faço programa para combater isso.
TV star turned politician turned accused murderer Wallace Sousa was held here while he waited for his day in court. He would never make that trial. Sick and bloated from stress-related disease, he died from a heart attack. He was 51.
And now, by that day, I need to prove to the world that my dad was innocent.
Are you sure?
Yeah, always sure.
How can you be so sure?
Because I know my dad.
Wallace Sousa was just 14 years old when his father died. Eldest son Raphael Souza, still in prison for murder, was allowed out of maximum security to farewell his father at the funeral. Raphael served 5 years for murder and is now a free man. This is the first time he has spoken publicly about the case against his father. Why are you talking?
Porque
Because we never had the opportunity to present the truth.
fazer a sério,
Are you a killer?
nunca fui.
Never.
Have you ever been associated with killing people?
Nunca. Jamais.
Never. Ever.
Even after being locked up, Raphael maintains his innocence and says it was all a political witch hunt to bring his father down.
I want to make it clear that I have never taken the life of anyone. I have never been recognized in any crimes. Why? Because I have never killed anyone.
How do you explain the spent bullet shells and the list of drug dealers on a note inside your room?
Nada mais.
I am not a serial killer, a criminal who kills and writes it down. Take notes of what he has done. That was me explaining to my lawyer what I was accused of.
It was the testimony of former cop and friend of the family, Moa George, that landed Raphael and his father in prison.
I didn't expect that a human being could have so much evil in their heart.
Did you ever want to kill Moa?
Não.
And this man brought you down.
Não guardo mágoas.
I don't hold bad feelings. I don't hold hatred.
Entreguei nas mãos de Deus.
On New Year's Day in 2017, after Raphael's release, a riot broke out at the maximum security complex where police informant Moa was still locked up. Many of the scenes, filmed on mobile phones and CCTV, are too graphic to show. Men were beheaded and dismembered. In total, 56 prisoners were killed by a notorious drug gang. Authorities believe Moa was targeted for ratting on the drug trade and implicating Wallace and Raphael Souza. It was in his cell that Moa, the man who brought Wallace down, the most important person in this whole case, was shot and then burned alive. It wouldn't have upset you when Moa was shot and burned alive?
Não. Não me aborreceu.
No, that didn't upset me.
Moa was perhaps the last person who knew the truth about whether or not Wallace Sousa killed for ratings. Everyone has an opinion on the case, from the streets to the highest levels of justice. The truth, though, is much harder to find. What do you think about the justice system? Is it fair?
No. Not for everybody.
It's not safe.
No.
You won't find many people willing to admit it on camera. But investigative journalist Anna Sina has reviewed Wallace Sousa's case in detail and believes the task force's evidence of the killer TV host stacks up. What do you think people now believe about Wallace?
Now, I think most of the people believe he's guilty, but his fans never believe, and no matter what you prove.
Do you believe it?
I believe he's guilty.
But Wallace's sons remain committed to fighting for their father's name. That's all they have left. You are very passionate about your father's legacy.
And I will always be.
Are you sure he wasn't killing people for ratings?
Never. Who is the crazy people that kill people only for ratings? This is insane. I know my dad.
Youngest son Willis is now also contemplating the unthinkable. Are you going to follow in his footsteps?
Like a politician, maybe.
What about a TV host?
The people want here that I've been a TV host, but I don't know if I'm ready to start being a TV host.
Like his father decades before him, he started roaming the streets for stories, now telling them on Facebook. The public so far loves it. And maybe, just maybe, there's ratings in it.
You don't worry about being killed?
No, because I never do something wrong.
Why would you want to do that when you saw what happened to your father?
Someone needs to stop that. Someone needs to stop this system who kill people, who tries to do something good to the people.
Even if it costs you your life?
Yes.
Hello, I'm Liz Hayes. Thanks for watching. To keep up with the latest from 60 Minutes Australia, make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can also download the 9 Now app for full episodes and other exclusive 60 Minutes content.